Hello there and welcome to my beginner's guide for Reus 2. In this video I'm going to guide you through the basic gameplay loop. I'm going to give you all the things you need to know to get started into the game. The game has a pretty decent tutorial, and this video's goal is more to give you a quick summary about what you need to do to play effective and to keep up with the challenges up ahead of you and give you a foothold to actually achieve these, because that's what the tutorial does not necessarily give you on the way. Now, let's get started with the basics. We start a new game and we get to select one of our leaders. This is just one starting point. Any one of these leaders can appear randomly alongside of your planet. You always play one planet up until the end of all the eras that you have unlocked or configured, and then you start a new one. So this is by no means a permanent decision. So we're going to go for a random character. We now have to select our starting giants, and these again define what kind of biomes we can create. This is, well, something where you will choose from later down the road when you want to create different biomes and specialize into different city products, but at the beginning of the game you don't need to worry too much about that. Just to choose to your own liking. It is all fine. Now, we're going to create a planet just with the standard settings. When you're starting out, you will probably not have unlocked the second era yet, so that'll just come by playing. This game unlocks procedurally new content whenever you finish a game, and therefore there's no way of playing the game wrongly. You will always develop yourself forward. Now, at the beginning we have our three friends that will shape the world for us. We have a few buddies that want to found a new city. So controls, this is the mouse wheel that I'm going for here. WASD for the camera controls, very simple things. So down here we have the controls over our giants. Every giant can create biomes, and he can place biotica. Well, biotica are sort of things that you can put into biomes. Plants, animals, minerals, stuff like that. To begin with, we're going to go for our first leader. She's the huntress, and her first goal, as we see here, this is where our quests are living at, is to have population. Population is one of your three basic resources. And there's also technology and wealth. So that means her city is mostly focused around population production. Each biome that you create is good at something. For example, the forest has a lot of food yielding things, so we're going to create that. You click at the beginning area and then you drag and drop, or no, you don't drag and drop, and you just drag your cursor and then you click another time to drop down the command. This game has no real time pressure behind it. Time only passes if you actively do something like placing biotica into the biomes. That's the only thing that passes time ahead in the game. You see up here how much eon we have until the first era happens. So every biotica you place into a biome costs 5 eon, so this translates to 6 items that we can place down. Now, let's build our first city. You click on the campfire thingy, and then you select where the city will go to. Your people cannot live in these wastelands, as these are totally infertile soil and not usable at all. So we're going to create ourselves now a little bit of ocean bordering this one, and a little bit of desert. So as you see, each giant has different biomes he can create, and we see here now our city, and this dotted line here, that is showcasing which biomes they are claiming and where the people of the city will actively claim resources. So if we'd be placing biotica into this area, it would have no effect on the city because it's not really active in their reach. So we have now all the biomes, so what now? Of course, we are fulfilling the first quest here. So you go to your giants and then you select this tab here. So our huntress wants population, so we need food, and she wants animals. So let's move over to our giant that is busy with animals, and let's look at an animal. So each biotica that you place down has an output, a couple of tags. As you see here, the rabbit is fur, has the tags fur, herbivore, and critter, and most likely they'll also have a synergy effect or something like that. So for example, the stoats are yielding more money if they are adjacent to a critter biotic. So we're going to place down one rabbit, and as you see here, there's also sometimes bonuses on certain nodes of these. This is something you should absolutely play around, so placing down our rabbit on a tile that boosts food sounds like a great idea. So our giant that is busy with animal placement will now move on over there, place down the animal, and now the food income goes into the wallet of our city. Now you can see that the population will grow. Every point of population requires 15 pieces of food. So we have fulfilled already that metric with that rabbit alone, which is pretty decent. You can also see the people now grabbing that stuff. So that is how basically these things work. The quest for its complete fulfillment, we're going to place down some stoat right next to that, as we can trigger our first synergy here. Placing them next to a critter makes them yield more money. While this quest does not require us to create any wealth, creating any of these city stats is always a good idea, because as this game is a roguelite that expands its game functions over the course of the time, eventually you will get some returns for a high rate of wealth in form of trade routes. So they will then start spreading their inventions to other cities that you have built. Speaking about which, after we have fulfilled our first quest, we gain a couple of rewards. We gain a draft reward and we gain a campfire reward. The campfire reward allows us to place down a new city. So let's click that, and now we get to select a new personality. We can now select either the merchant or the inventor. So either of these will found different cities which have a different focus. This is mainly the defining the ways and means how the city's demands will develop. Also, they have certain different special abilities, what they do with mystery points. Mystery points are a resource that is sometimes attached to a bioticum, and depending on the person that is ruling the city, they always do something else with that. So the inventor transforms mystery into technology, while the merchant does transform that into gold. So that's just that. We're going to go for the merchant here, as the desert is a gold yielding biome. We're going to place down the guy here. So before I go into the projects, your cities will expand whenever there are all of the nodes here fulfilled and the outside situation is good for them. So that means once all of the nodes are filled and you place down something else right next to them, most of the time they will grow, as long as this meter here shows interested. When that is not the case, well, you will need to wait until the next era, because eras also limit the growth of your city. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I could talk about this topic way more. So, after this city has been founded, as you see here, the merchant will now go for a different quest. We have to generate wealth for him, and then we will receive another draft and another city charge. So, the drafts. Each of these biomes can be upgraded with new, well, booster packs. It's the best word that I can find for that. So, we can now, since we have fulfilled the first quest, select a package for the forest biome. So we will now get to select what kind of new biotica we want to add in. So since we know that the huntress is about population, we're probably more interested in the packages that include food, or we go for animals, since this is also a spec of hers. Your booster packages will always include the main object here and cohorts. This means these items will also be included in the package. So we get 3 items on each of these. What's important to note, though, is, for example, the squirrel is not found on the forest biome, but in the taiga biome. And the cohorts here, the bamboo is a rainforest one, and this is also a taiga one. So sometimes you get more out of one package and sometimes less. You can also re-roll these eventually. The first one is just not possible right now. And as you can see here, this allows you to strategize for your city's well-being. We're going to go for the apple tree here. So as I want to talk about biodiversity real quick, because this is a very, very important metric. So the new apple tree we've unlocked has a requirement of biodiversity. So biodiversity is really simple. Every bioticum that you place down generates 1 point of biodiversity by default. Some of them have different things attached to them. And if I place down now another one of these rabbits, for example, I will not get another biodiversity point, as the name implies. So that means this apple tree is something that I cannot place into my biome app front. I need to plan ahead to use it. So that's that thing. Eventually, you will also unlock in the draft options 2-star items that need upgraded nodes, which you will need upgrade charges for. This is found in the later eras. So talking about eras, I want to get into that topic right after we talked about projects. So, if your city has its quest fulfilled, it will choose a project. You get to select what project they will fulfill. So here we can now go for different boosts. So I will go here for a hunter, as this is very synergistic with the animals we have to place down. This is also something which you can postpone. You can place that away. Can look at your biome. And speaking about which, when you click over here, you have a better look at what you have placed down. You can also trigger that with left control. So we are going to place down the hunter, and when you do that, the city will automatically create a new tile where that thing is living at. You don't lose any room by placing down that. So the new specializations are found when you click your city here and behind this screen. This is a very, very important screen. Check back with it every now and then if you want to optimize your city. You can also check with that once you have unlocked inventions, trade routes, and emblems. Also very cool stuff. Now, this is every city will create eventually these projects. So if we now place down enough wealth for the merchant city, they will do the same. And after this quest has been fulfilled, we will get another charge for another city. And after that, we will no longer get free city charges. After that, you need to find other ways and means. And, well, you will eventually unlock these. That's all I can say. So, couple of words. Draft packages. They don't expire. You are not pressed to use them. As long as you can fulfill quests with the tools given, you don't necessarily need to draft anything. So once you have placed down all of your buildings with the remaining eon, you get into the next era. There is one thing though that I want to point out, which is quite important. So let me fetch up a little bit of land in between. Every city that you build does prolong each era, which means you get to place down more stuff, which makes absolutely sense because to build a new city you need more turns. So that means you can also generate new turns by building new cities, which is a pretty interesting combination. I strongly suggest you to adapt the biomes to the leaders that you draft, so the biomes are really good at generating the resources these leaders prefer. So if you have a money-loving leader, put them into the desert, and yeah, you just need to read the tooltips and act accordingly. As you see there now, as soon as these guys, it takes a while for them to migrate, so you can speed up the time here. As soon as these guys have settled down, you'll receive a little bit more eon for the era. So I'm going to go now ahead to the era selection thing. On your end, obviously, of course, fulfill those city requests. The more you do, the better, because you will earn prosperity points. Each upgrade that you do on population, technology, and wealth gives you a prosperity point. These prosperity points are basically your high score on the level, and these are also the things that unlock new stuff for your account. So getting a high prosperity score is a pretty good thing. You should not stop doing that. So that being said, we're going to fast forward here. As you see though, the extra Eon points get transformed into prosperity, so you don't necessarily lose too much when you just speed up. So now we get to go into the eras, into the era selection. So you get to select what kind of era will come now next. Each era comes with a set of quests. If you don't fulfill any of the requirements of any era, you get only a calm era. And as you see here, if we have had two cities with a certain population, we could have went for the Neolithic Revolution. There's the Iron Age, and there's a couple of more eras. I'm going to talk about that in a hot second. So here we get that, and these three quests, if we manage to fulfill them, we'll earn stars, and each star unlocks a new Biotica booster package. So fulfilling the quests of these eras is a direct progression tool. That's what it is. And I'm going to go into the collection menu to show it better here. And as you see here, there's three different types of eras: the ancient, the medieval, and the discovery eras. And each one of them has 5 different sets, or well, 4 I must rather say, because the calm one is always available and it only yields stars. But the other ones, they not only give you a distinct set of quests that you need to fulfill, they also give you different special projects to work with, which is absolutely fun. So you get to build a monument in the Monument 8 that also gives bonuses. In the next era, which is much harder to play, you can go for different quests that give your leaders unique castles with unique buffs. There's a lot to discover, and each era is selected gives you the opportunity to unlock new content for your next games. That's in a nutshell what it is. And now we have to fulfill these quests, as you see here, 45 prosperity on the planet. And yeah, that's what you ought to do next. I want to leave as last words before I end this beginner's tutorial, because congratulations, you now know almost everything you need to know. If you have ever placed down something where you don't want to have it, you can replace things. If you replace something, you will only pay 1 point of Eon. So if you ever need to readjust something, you can play that at a very, very discounted cost. So that is something to pay attention to. And it also means if you've replaced one thing, you can think about 4 more options where you can make your build more efficient, because you've already paid a portion of that, because a new bioticum will always cost 5 Eon. So you will always end up with those 4 odd points that you can't spend. So that just as a side note to optimize your builds, because it really, really pays off. And last but not least, if you feel like this game feels a little bit limited, just keep playing. The more things you unlock, the more complexity comes up, and eventually, once you have unlocked the planet shop and its features, it allows you to spend the earned points for new resources. What I want to point out here, what's really important, I mean the tooltip here says so as well, if you spend these points, they don't get lost. The prosperity count is maintained. You can use these just to make your game easier. Buy extra turns, buy extra drafts, buy extra things that I didn't explain here because they're rather advanced features of the game. Either way, the Planet Shop is a really cool tool for your progression, and you will constantly unlock new things. So that's the beginner's guide. I hope you enjoyed. I feel like there's a lot more to talk about. Feel free to leave your comments down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and consider subscribing. I'm working on new tutorials for the game, obviously, and therefore check out the channel, and there is in the description box a playlist for all my Reus 2 tutorials. Currently there is only one, obviously, as I'm only recording this, but more will follow. So, thanks for watching yet again. Feel free to check back on my Discord, on my Twitch channel, or even support Icon Gaming financially. I would be so happy if you did. And a big thanks to everybody who did. And a big thanks to you for watching this video up until the very end. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.